It's here. Derby Day has arrived. Saturday afternoon, and that lot from down the road come to take on Luton at Kenilworth Road. Alongside me to preview the game, I've got the Lutonian journalist James Cunliffe. And you know it's a big game because the Trust chairman Tony Murray is joining us for the first time this season. Gents, are you ready for some Harry Potter bus work?
Oh, yes.
Bring them in.
Bring them in, indeed. We will preview Derby Day right after this intro.
For me, it's the people and the spirit of the people as well.
I love this town. I love this town. I love this town. You know what I love about this town is actually you. Everyone in it has got this massive soul.
We're Luton people, and that's what we care about.
Hello everyone, welcome along to another episode of the Luton Town Supporters Trust podcast, the longest running Luton Town podcast, which is now nominated as one of the finalists in the Best Football League podcast category at the upcoming Football Content Awards. This season we are sponsored by Solid, providing opportunities, provisions and assistance so that our academy can fulfil their potential. As I said before the intro, we are previewing Derby Day, Saturday afternoon, 12:30 kickoff. If you haven't got a ticket in the home end, bad luck, I'm afraid. Sold out. You will have to use Sky Sports Plus to watch the game. As I also said, Jimbo's with me as always, and we've got the Trust chairman, Tony Murray. Tony, before we come on to Derby Day in particular, 9 games have been and gone. Not exactly the most exciting, perfect start in the world, but what have you made of it, mate?
My mind's gone blank.
Glad we've invited you back on then, haven't we?
If I spoke the truth, I'm like most of the supporters, I'm not happy, but these things happen. We've been there before. We always tend to start slowly anyway, even on our most successful seasons. But I'm feeling a lot of vibes this season as when we went down to the conference. It's a similar sort of thing. It took us a little while to find our feet and get back into it. And I'm hoping it won't take us 5 years to get back in the Premier League. But I don't think you can fault the players for the effort they're putting in and, what they're doing on the pitch. I think we haven't gelled yet as a team, and just things, what can go wrong is going wrong at the moment, and I just hope we can turn it round. And because there's no doubt we have got a bunch of really good players in that squad, and I think it's just a question of them getting used to each other and playing together. And some of the games that we've played, we have been unlucky. We've lost because of individual mistakes as opposed to bad team performances. I'm not saying that there haven't been bad team performances, Sheffield United in particular, but I think one of the best performances I've seen from the town this season was at home to QPR, and we lost again because of a mistake and going to sleep. But I think Rob wants to put it right. Rob cares, and we need to get behind the team and help to dig them out of the hole that they're in at the moment, because unless we pull together in one direction, it's only going to get worse. It won't get better.
Yep, indeed. Rob is the man to turn it around, and unlike the rumours of last week, which some scamp started, he is still here to turn it around. And how is it on Saturday, Jimbo? Because we all know his history. We all know that he got bumped off from there about the same time 2 years ago, and now there are an awful lot of doubters surfacing on social media, if not in person, but more and more of them were at Sheffield United. How big a game is this for Rob Edwards, do you think?
Well, it's massive on all fronts, really, isn't it? It's there's a couple of big questions around it, really.
Well, I guess the first question is this a bigger game for Rob Edwards because of who we're playing, or is this a big game for Rob Edwards even if we were playing Cardiff at home or something? Is this a game that he has to win, or even if he doesn't win, we're still in the situation that we highlighted after the Oxford game when we read Wilco's programme notes out?
That was a question I was going to ask you boys, really.
I asked the questions on this one, mate.
The fact that it's Derby Day ramps up the pressure, I guess. But perhaps there's also a case to say it changes the outlook of how they've been playing, because maybe the script goes out the window somewhat on Derby Day, all those old cliches and stuff. But considering how rough the start to the season is this a game for you guys? I'm throwing the question back. Could you take losing if the performance was really good, or maybe it was, the only thing in it was a screamer or something like that? Or is it you have to win this game?
From a point of view of Rob's future,
Not necessarily that. I'm not going to jump on that bandwagon. I think, I take Linus Udofia's view. It ain't that deep. Give it till Christmas. And
I mean, if it's good for Linus, it's more than good for me, to be fair.
Exactly. So, I'm on that. I'm not jumping. You never hear me call for a manager's head unless they've come in and it started really badly, and then you can say, well, no, it hasn't gone right. You can understand it. They're going to have to part ways. I don't quite understand how you can go from singing Rob Edwards' name 6 months ago to then calling from his head. But each their own. If that's the way you want to play it, that's it. But it's not for me. I'd give him more time. What I mean is more about this game. Usually, you don't want to lose the Derby Day game. It's the big one. It's the one everyone looks for on the calendar. But I'm thinking, considering how, like Tony said, and I agree with him, everything that can go wrong has gone wrong. Can you accept something a bit different here? Like, can you accept the performance being really great, but somehow they nick it? Or is it just, no, it has to be a win?
That is a very, very difficult question, Jimbo. Nobody wants to lose a derby game.
I guess what he's
and
saying...
And I'd rather take a bad performance and beat them.
Yeah, I guess what he's saying is there a way to lose this derby game?
There's no good way to lose a derby game.
No, and that's how I would agree. I mean, obviously, you and I, Tony, were at Vicarage Road 18 months, 20 months ago, whatever it was. That's not a way to lose a derby game, right? And that's the one that I always, when everyone tells me that Nathan Jones got us to the Premier League and when he comes back, he's going to be brilliant for us again, that's the game I always push out. We didn't turn up at all in the only big game that he managed us in that season. I don't know where we turned up, but it certainly weren't Vicarage Road that afternoon.
We did in the home game.
In the home game, but that was under Rob, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that's what we need on Saturday. I've been around longer than you guys, and I've seen my fair share of derby defeats. I've seen my fair share of derby wins, and it's particularly hard when you lose a derby game when you know that you have definitely got a better side than they have. That's the hardest one to take, is when your team doesn't turn up and doesn't play. Now, the last game at Vicarage Road, there were reasons why we were so bad on that day, and they're perfectly understandable, even though we didn't know them at that time on the day. But the players will be in no doubt how important this is this weekend, because we all know that the members of 2020 are Luton Town supporters, and Gary, like I know Gary, and that Gary will be, making sure that the players are aware of how important this is, because they feel the same way we do about, the possibility of losing a derby game. Now,
I think
it's one of those things, but in derby games that form goes out the window. It goes totally out the window.
Well, we bloody hope it does, don't we?
And if our players perform to their full potential, Watford will know they're in for a game. But at the moment, we can't guarantee that our players are going to turn up, and not for the want of trying, but it won't work for them. Now, it's got to turn the corner at some point. So hopefully it'll be Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, everything goes out the window here, Jimbo. It's literally win the game. It's if we stink the gaff out like we did against Sheffield Wednesday and we get the same result, everyone's happy as Larry. There won't be no moaning. There won't be, we're papering over the cracks. Who gives a shit about the cracks? No one does. Just got to win this game of football. How we do it? I mean, of course, we'd love to do it swashbuckling football, Brighton at home, Premier League style. We'd love to do it like that.
Oh God, you always want to rub their noses in it.
But chances are we're not going to do it like that. When they were here April Fool's Day last year, we didn't really do it like that, did we? There was a lot of a grind about it, goal from a set piece and then goal from a recycled set piece. It's probably going to be like that again, isn't it, really? But he's just got to win the game.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to say, I was just saying it as a devil's advocate, not like, well, you might lose this, but I mean, the form so far makes you suggest that their confidence is low, isn't it? But maybe Derby Day and the atmosphere that will create, and I hope it does create an atmosphere and not one of tension, because they shit it last time when that happened. It was one of the best atmospheres I've ever seen, been a part of, ever at Kenilworth Road.
Do you remember when they got their first throw-in over in front of the enclosure, and they were arguing over who was going to come and take the throw-in? None of them wanted to take the throw-in. That's what we need to build up on Saturday. You're right.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, if it's like that again, then hopefully that helps change it around. I mean, we'll get onto it on the personnel side. There's probably some moving about that he's going to have to do because of what's happened in the international break. But you just hope they sort of come back refreshed almost. And confidence has to change somewhere. And if it is going to change anywhere, maybe it's in the blood and thunder of a derby game.
Yeah, I think it's a perfect game. I thought it was a perfect game when we sat and reviewed the Sheffield United game. I thought it was the perfect game. I still do. I think the 2 weeks has come at a good time. Rob's just got to say to him, look, them 9 games, they were 2 weeks ago now. You can't do nothing about them 9 games. They've gone. You can't repair them. What you can do is restore an awful lot of pride and some of the damage that you've done with those performances here by just going out, being yourselves, being Luton, being on the front foot, just go and win the game of football. If we get a performance on top, bloody hell, happy days. But just go and win the game of football, because then you'll build a little bit of confidence. We've got 4 of our next 5, including this one, at home. If we can get Kenilworth Road rocking, and the next 3 are all night games, aren't they? So you would think the atmospheres take care of themselves in them as well. If we can get Kenilworth Road rocking to the levels that it has been over the last 2 years under Rob, it's going to be an intimidating place to play. There's no reason why we can't pick up 9, 10, 12 points from these 4 games if we can start off with a good one Saturday. No footballer wants to lose to their rivals. It doesn't matter whether you're a Luton fan or whether you're not a Luton fan. They'll know that they're playing against their rivals. They'll know what it means. And, there's an embodiment of players with fans, and most of them all live locally as well. So they'll know the bragging rights and everything else. So I would be amazed if there's a lacklustre performance like there was at Sheffield United. And if there is, then we have serious problems. And I don't think we're going to get that. I think we're going to get a good blood and thunder Derby Day performance from the boys. I think we'll get that. If it's good, is it good enough to win? Well, that would probably depend on just how good they are. 6th in the table, but I don't think they're 6th good.
No, I'd agree with you.
I think they've burgled a couple of results that maybe they shouldn't have done, and certainly the metrics that everyone uses these days is XG, isn't it? Well, we're 11th in the table on expected points for using that method. Watford are 17th. So if the games are played out how they should have done on the computer, we would be 6 places above them. As it is, we're about 55 places below them. But that's where it is, though, isn't it? We're underperforming where it matters, and they're clearly overperforming. Now, in a derby, does that come closer together? If it does, put the home advantage in on top, and we should have every chance of success here.
Yeah, well, that's the sort of outlook for every Derby Day game, really, isn't it? I really do hope that everything goes out the window. I know probably what people are hoping also is that the 2 weeks that they've had away from the pitch, but on the training pitch, they've had a rethink maybe. We'll wait and see on that one.
I would be amazed if they haven't had it out with themselves, because that Sheffield United performance, I mean, Reece Burke kind of hinted it in the BBC interview after that game. That performance was just not tolerable. They wouldn't have liked it when they sit and watch it back. We didn't like it. You can't go forward with performances like that. And generally, I mean, we spoke about rock bottom, didn't we, on the Sheffield United review? Generally, when you hit rock bottom, something's got to change. So someone's got to, grab a few scruffs of necks, or senior people have it out with each other, or whatever. You adults, you have it out, and then you go and sort it out. And hopefully we're in that situation where they've had 2 weeks to have it out. And now Saturday, all that pent up frustration comes out, and we go at them,
Yeah,
not in a Liam Walsh way, but get
Yeah.
stuck into them from the first whistle. Someone thunders into a tackle or something. Again, not Liam Walsh way, Kyoso way in that game, if you like. Get the crowd going even more, and then go from there. But the first goal on Saturday is imperative.
One of the things that I think we've missed, and what we need on Saturday, is we need a bit of leadership on the pitch. We haven't really had a leader on the pitch since Tom's been out, but that's what we need. We need somebody to step up and take that role on and become that leader and lead by example on the pitch.
Well, I think it will be Morris if he's back, wouldn't it? I mean, not just because he's captain, but he's been there and in that atmosphere and done that as well. So I think people are going to be looking to him. I suppose also from the previous game, it was so impotent, but it was also we got half what we wanted, which was a back four, but then in front of it was a bit of a mess and players playing out of position. And I wonder whether that, I mean, I can't see that happening again. Obviously.
The back four or the players out of position?
Well, that many players out of position, one or two is fine, but it just worked. It didn't work at all, did it? So you can't have looked at that for 2 weeks and studied it, seen where you've gone wrong and go, we'll try that again, because it was no sliver of hope about it.
I think he goes back to a back three here. I do. They play a back three, so you've got an obvious case of matching them up, which was what Nathan did all the time. Everyone thought he was this tactical genius. All he did really was match up the opposition and know that we had better players than what they did, certainly in the lower leagues, and it proved to be the case. I think he'll go back to three at the back, but if he goes back to three at the back, for the love of God, Rob, put three midfielders in front of them.
I was just going to say that, because that's one of the problems, is that we've had two players in the centre of midfield and we've just been
overrun every single game.
Overrun, and it's not their fault. It's not their fault. And of course, you've had in games, I mean, I've heard people say about Krause is running around like a headless chicken, but because he hadn't got the players with him, he's had to do that. So hopefully there'll be three in the middle and they'll be given a bit more time on the ball. I'd like to see Baptiste in there as well, because at least he's got a bit of a cooler head. I mean, he's nowhere near the level of a Ross Barkley, but he has got that type of ability so that he can control the game. So, as long as he's got support with him, and I'd like to see Krause with him as well, and maybe Clicker there as well. So we'll see how it goes. I don't think Clicker should be up front again either.
No, I would agree with that. I have to say, if Morris plays, I'm wondering if Clark can get in the side at all, because if they're all available, surely the midfield three is Marv, Krause and Baptiste. I mean, they're the three that give you the most control and energy in the side. I mean, love Clicker to bits. His first touch recently has been crap, and in a derby game, you need to keep the ball as much.
Clicker would know what it means.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I just think if he's going to play, he's going to have to come off the bench, because assuming Baptiste can start, he just gives so much control on top of the quality that he brings, and that's the thing that we're lacking, isn't it? Control and quality. We've had neither.
Yeah, I mean, we've had this debate before, and I think that is the midfield three if you're going to play three, and unfortunately that means that Jordan Clark would come out, and I think we probably haven't seen enough of Baptiste, but we have, in the sense of we know what he can give. We just haven't seen him be able to do it on the pitch because he's been injured. So he was back in the squad for that game at Bramall Lane, and hopefully those 2 weeks have been beneficial to him. I want to see him in there. Also, for me so far, Krause's best games have been at home, and that's another bonus. There's a lot of things there's so many things that have gone wrong. There's a lot of things to get over, isn't there? It's like, well, if you go behind, heads drop, can you come back? If you go ahead, can you keep your heads up and keep your confidence up and not think that you're going to get pegged back? That's just two of them, really, isn't it? But there's so many things that these 9 games have turned around in a negative way. Maybe from a sports psychology point of view, I'm thinking maybe just in the players' minds that they're going to have to get over those things, and they're probably difficult to do with a silky performance, but one with grit and determination which is the bare minimum, isn't it, for a Derby Day game? But probably from everything we expect from this team anyway, they should be playing like that. That's got to be the starting point.
Yeah, it has. I mean, Rob basically done the Watford team talk after the Sheffield United game, didn't he? You've got to win your duels. You've got to win your individual battles. And then if you can show some quality on top of it, it'll only be the odd bit of quality that separates a Derby game. It always is just the odd bit. I mean, it wasn't even that when they were here last time, was it? Or actually, Pelly's 1-2 and then ball across to Gay Bosho was actually the quality of that game, wasn't it? The other one was just a set piece that was headed down and Weal was in the right place to lift the roof off the Kenilworth end.
They were never in it, like.
No, they weren't.
It should have been more than that. It's just that they couldn't get the ball in the net or create the chances. But Luton were dominant that day.
Yeah. I mean, nearly every derby I've been to, it's just been one bit of quality that separated it. I mean, the famous one down there when Matthew Spring unleashed from 40 yards, that was the only real bit of quality in the game. Rest of it was like a battle in the centre of the park, physical challenges going in.
Even that goal was a battle. The amount of tackles that went in that would get probably red carded these days just to get Matty Spring on that run.
It was the same for the second goal as well, for Steve Howard's goal as well. It was absolutely. I tell you who. It wasn't just Nichols who was up for that game. Paul Hughes was as well. He was putting the foot in, and it's great. That was one of the best goals in the Derby game I've ever seen.
And that's it. I mean, obviously football's changed now, but it's still going to be competitive in the centre of the park. And if we do put three in there and they put three in there, it's which three comes out on top. It's probably going to decide the derby. There aren't going to, we're not going to have 20 shots each. That's generally not how derbies work. Not unless one team doesn't turn up, which is what happened down at their place last time. But you got to imagine both teams are going to turn up. So it's literally who can win that midfield battle and who's got that little bit of quality at the top end of the pitch to get the job done. Now hopefully our defenders know who they're marking, keep tabs on them, and then our forwards can do what they're good at. I noticed when I was looking through some statistics in this league that Pollock is one of the leading aerial duel winners in the league. So if we can get to the other side against Ogbonna, who's pretty small from what I remember of him at West Ham, very experienced, certainly not going to be quick at his age. If we can get sort of Elijah going at him, maybe that's a way through. I mean, people are going to be shouting at this podcast already, where's Chong, what about Chong? But it's not a bad thing, if Clark and Chong don't start this game. If you've got those two sat on the bench and after an hour against tired defences, they're coming on, that can only be a good thing, right? But we've got to start this derby game.
I'd agree with you on that, Kev.
We've got to start this derby game with a foundation of physical and being tough to beat, because that's the bare minimum in a derby game. And I'm not sure Clark and Chong have got those capabilities in them right now.
No, and I think Chong's probably played his best football or got into the form of his best football when he's had something to prove. And it hasn't quite clicked for him this season. We all thought he'd be the big player. And it's not all his fault, because there's not been that link in all the games. I can only really think of Pompey where there was one, where he's had that link between the midfield and attack and been able to do what he was doing last season. Also last season, playing on the counter a lot of the time, wasn't he? So he was man that instigated a lot of that. So it's been different for him and hasn't quite worked. But what did last season, when he was sort of in and out, had a couple of games that got taken out, sort of he learned from all those, and then he was one of the best players in the end of season run. So maybe these things, it goes like that sometimes for some players.
Yeah, where you want somebody like Chong, particularly in this game on Saturday, is if we're winning, say we're winning by one goal and it's getting into the last 15 minutes, he's the sort of player you want on then, because for the outlet ball to give it and to turn defence into attack, because he is dangerous at that. So that's where we need him. And of course then somebody like Clark can do that as well, and they would stretch their defence and we'd be able to catch them on the counter. I think that would be the best thing. But I agree with you, Kev. We've got to keep it tight and get stuck in there and win those challenges. Make sure we get to those 50-50 balls, and we're winning the second ball, not leaving it to them to pick up, because I'm a little bit loath to say this, but I will say it. I can't see them winning the game on Saturday, but I can see us losing it. If you understand my logic.
Yeah, I do. I mean, we've seen it enough this
Yeah.
season already, haven't we? I mean, we have to be aggressive in everything we do, not recklessly aggressive, but, McGuinness has to, assuming McGuinness plays, McGuinness has to be strong, be powerful, be that central defender that we think we've signed.
And not let the ball bounce.
Yeah, not let the ball bounce, not be tentative. At Sheffield United, when he was looking at Waters and Waters were looking at him whilst rack-sacking, none of that. Someone take control of the situation, be strong, be aggressive, all across the pitch, get ourselves into the game, work ourselves into the game. We've got enough quality in this team to win the game. There's absolutely no doubt about that. I mean, this, as I referenced earlier, this is a team that took Brighton to the cleaners, and look what they're doing. All right, probably the wrong after the Chelsea game, but look what they've just done to Tottenham. There's no doubt in the quality in this side, but there needs to be a level of the basics to give themselves the platform to go and show that quality. And that's what we've not done against Sheffield United. It's what we didn't do against Plymouth. To an extent, we did do it against Oxford, but then it came crashing down when Krause went off.
I think if you used that set before, it's what we're lacking as well, is what Pelly did against Oxford, took one for the team to stop them going through. For God's sake, put a challenge in. Okay, you might get a yellow card and you're walking a tightrope. Stops them scoring though.
Absolutely.
And the midfielders have to make sure they get the tackles in, as I said, win the ball and be prepared to do that. And we don't seem to have as much of the throwing the bodies in the way that we had in the past. When we got the season we got promoted to the Premier League, it was like our defence was so tight, and it was like, we're going to go 1-0 in front, and you ain't beating us. And we need to get back to that mentality. That's what we need.
Yeah, we do. Absolutely. I mean, it's what we also really, really need is a up and at 'em first 20 minutes, like we always used to have at Kenilworth Road in the Championship and in the Premier League, to be fair. I mean, teams didn't roast us in the first 20 minutes. They killed us in the last 20 minutes of the half and the first 15 of the second half, as we regularly reference. But the first 20 minutes, they knew they were in a game at Kenilworth Road, as they did in the Championship. That's what we need. We need to come out all guns blazing with no fear of losing or anything like that. And I understand that's going to be difficult with a lack of confidence. I completely get that. That's why I referenced earlier in the podcast, someone needs to say to them 9 games, just forget them, call them pre-season or whatever, and season starts today, because we need to go at them from the first whistle. We need to let them know that we're there, because if they come down here and get the chance to be all fancy Dan and pop it around through Sissoko and, dare I say it, Tom Ince and the likes, people who are good on the ball and lots of experience, it's going to be a long, long day. We need to be in their faces. We need to get the ball forward. However we get the ball forward, none of this ticky-taka nonsense. Get it up to Morris, get it up to Elijah. Let's battle for it and let's see what comes from that. Just be that horrible, aggressive, nasty Luton that we were 2 years ago that Reece Burke referenced after Sheffield United, because really and truly, I mean, we were like my dog. He always rolls on his back and has his belly rubbed at the minute, and that's what we did at Sheffield United. Couldn't have rolled over and had our tummies tickled anymore if we tried, really, could we? It was embarrassing. Said it at the time. Don't need none of that Saturday.
No, and that's why Derby Day can be the tonic to all of that, really. Obviously, it can go very far the other way, and we hope that doesn't happen. But
we haven't got Lenny Lawrence in charge. Apologies, Hartlepool. You have my sympathies, but thankfully, we haven't got Lenny Lawrence in charge, so that's one good thing. And if Rob's not motivated for this one, he ain't ever going to be motivated for a game of football again, is he? So that's good. We do need to be calm, because one thing we don't want is like a Liam Walsh situation. We're down, as well as we've played with 10 men this season, we don't want to be playing with 10 men on Saturday. But if we can have that aggression, which kind of sounds weird, really, aggression and calmness at the same time, that's what we're good at, isn't it? That's what Luton Town...
Controlled aggression.
That's it. That's what Luton Town are, isn't it? We need to be Luton Town on Saturday.
Yeah.
Not this team that Rob wants us to be, and I'm absolutely fine with the team he wants us to be in time. Not Saturday, though. Be that nasty, that horrible Luton Town on the pitch, and especially off the pitch. This needs to be a collective effort on Saturday. And if it is, the result will come. I'm sure of that.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about, like, let's maybe just put those 9 games behind us and maybe call it a pre-season. I think that is probably the right mentality all around, because, I mean, even we were saying they want to play this different brand of football to get where they're need to go. Well, that just seems a long way off at the moment. I'm not saying it can't happen, and I stand by my pre-season prediction that they can get in the playoffs. They're only 2 points off the position they were in when we got the promotion, so it's not all doom and gloom on that front. When at the beginning of the season we were talking about how they will play, it's not worked so far. So go back to what you can do. And there's better quality players in this team. So if they've got that platform and they can then start to show it, you might be in a better position.
Yeah, that football Rob wants to play is confident football, isn't it? And we've not got a confident team right now. We've got to build that confidence. As I said, we've got 4 games in the next 2 weeks at Kenilworth Road. There is not a better time to build confidence than right now. We love being at Kenilworth Road, when the atmospheres are good. Obviously 2 of the games, West Brom and Sunderland, are against 2 of the top 3 right now as well, both on television. They're going to be, good occasions. Okay, Cardiff will be one of those, where we're the favourites and we're going to have to take the initiative, the very games that we kind of struggle in. But these next 3 are not that. So, let's have a go at them, and, let's get back to basics, start off and see where it can take us. How many times do I say it? It's a 2-win league. You win Saturday, you win Wednesday. You go to Coventry, middle of the bottom half of the table or whatever, and all of a sudden you're looking at the table. We play at 12:30 at Coventry. Of course, we play at 12:30. Play at 12:30 every bloody Saturday these days. But we play at 12:30 at Coventry, and you're thinking, "Cool, we're going to latch onto the top 10 if we win today." And that's how stupid this league is. And we've just seen that we dropped down with 2 defeats, or a draw and a defeat as it's been. You go back up every bit as quickly if you can win 2 games of football. And it's the same for them. They were languishing in mid-table halfway through the Middlesbrough game. Suddenly they turn it around, win the game 2-1, and they're in the top 6. This league is absolutely bonkers, and you have to hold your nerve in this league.
It's wide open.
It's a 46-game league that you have to hold your nerve in. You don't panic after 9, at the same point that if we now go on and win the next 9 games, we're not suddenly the dog's bollocks. But just start off with that platform now. Just give ourselves the best chance of winning the game. Don't shoot ourselves in the foot, which we've done way too often. I mean, what have we lost? 5 games of football, is it? Are we 2-2-5, aren't we? 5 games of football. Well, we killed ourselves against QPR, killed ourselves against Plymouth, we killed ourselves against Sheffield United. That's 3. So that's 3 of the 5 defeats that we've lost. It's only really Burnley that have absolutely trolleyed us. The rest of them we've beaten ourselves. Preston was just an absolute mismatch of nonsense, really, wasn't it? But, have that starting point. The good thing is, if we go ahead in this game, since the opening day of the season at Millwall, where they scored direct from a free kick, direct from a corner, and some rocket that the geezer's not going to score again as long as he's got all up his backside, since then, they haven't won a game away from home this season. Their away form isn't great. It's their home form that's got them in the top 6. If we can go ahead on Saturday and get the crowd behind us, they could quickly think, this is a long day at the office, But we got to go and we've got to go ahead.
That worries me, Kev, is our support at the moment, because okay, a lot of the games, some of the supporters have been like poison. They've, at the end of the Oxford game, I heard people abusing Rob and some of the players, and some of the names they were calling them were bang out of order. And I get it. If you want to make your feelings known, fine. If you want to clap them, fine. If you don't want to clap them, whatever. But not calling them names and telling them to off, and that's bang out of order. And this is the one game on Saturday where we've all got to be together. We've all got to do our part in this game and make it a really hostile atmosphere for them. Everybody turns around and says, we hate Watford, we hate the scum and whatever. Well, show it on Saturday, but show it the right way and get behind our players. When somebody's having a bad game or whatever, they misplace a pass, they don't do it deliberately. They're not sabotaging our efforts. But when you get on a player's back and give them a hard time, is that going to help their confidence? Is that going to help them to improve their game? No. So we need to be as one, and we need to, have that atmosphere we had 2 seasons ago when we beat them on April Fool's Day. That's what we need to have any chance to get. And I said it earlier on this podcast, to have any chance of starting the club on a decent run. That's what we need to do. And hopefully on Saturday we can use this as a starting point for the rest of the season.
I suppose if anything, when things don't go right and the atmosphere goes a bit like that, you're giving Watford a chance, because they didn't like it last time when the atmosphere was febrile, and it was really, really hostile if you were them, but unbelievable if we were us. But if say against the Oxford game, 2-0 up, and cheers for the goals, but then it got really quiet, and then
I did point out a caveat to that.
Oxford sort of started getting a foothold. And whether it's because of that or just because that they were playing better, it's probably a bit of both. But it doesn't help that it's a bit quiet then, when you're 2-0 up and you should be really on top of them. And if
it was chilly and piddling down with rain as well, though, wasn't it? It's hard when everyone's got their hands in their pockets.
If you're honest and you look at that game, Oxford should have won that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oxford should have won that. They deserved to win that. But being positive about it, they didn't. And we played well as a 10-man unit like we did at Portsmouth. But we need to have...
So you're saying we need to start with 10 men on Saturday?
I'm not saying that.
Because that would be different, because he has us starting with 12, 13 and 14 men. So.
Hey, this was 45 podcasts ago or something like that.
The streets don't forget.
We need to have that solidity and that fight that we had when we were down to 10 men, but do it with 11.
Absolutely we do.
Because if it's a hostile atmosphere and our players are up for this and they're making, putting in hard tackles, Watford's players ain't going to fancy it. I'm pretty sure with their players and the players that they are, they're all. They seem to me to be all like mercenaries and just playing for the money, or they're signed from European clubs. They're not going to know what this means. I honestly believe that, because they haven't got that togetherness and fight that all our club has. And I'm not just talking about players and staff there, I'm talking about the fan base as well. We're all as one. We need to get back to that, and we need to show that right from when the ground opens on Saturday. Hopefully they'll do the 2-for-1 beer, so the supporters get in the right frame of mind. The only thing I'm concerned about is if it falls flat on our face, it's going to be murder afterwards, isn't it? But I don't.
Well, let's worry about that.
Yeah.
Later on, the crowd have to carry the boys forward on Saturday. Yeah, that's our responsibility, and it's their responsibility to do the aggression and everything else on the pitch. And as I say, if the two marry up nicely, there's no reason. Do I believe that Watford are a better team than Luton man for man? Do I bollocks?
No.
And so it's up to us to prove that on Saturday. Team selection, I reckon we're going back to a back three. What do you reckon?
I think it probably will depend on who's available, because the international break has seen Ruel Waters and Mengi sent home injured, and McGuinness, although the Irish boss has said he'll be ready for the Watford game. So we wait and see what the situation is with Waters and Mengi. So it depends.
It does. There could be something. I mean, we're recording this way before Rob's press conference, so we can get this out to you guys. Rob's press conference Friday afternoon, so you'll have probably watched this before Rob's podcast. I guess the doubt centres around Ted and Mengi, albeit he was only ever on the standby list for them anyway, so he was only called up as a precaution. And I always think it's the easy route to say, oh, he's just picked up a knock just to get rid of them.
We don't know. It could be slight knocks.
It could be. The one caveat to that is Tom Holmes played in the first under-21 game in the international break, didn't he? Scored a free kick at, my memory's gone, Bromley. Didn't play on Tuesday night in the game at Barton, so I wonder if he was taken out of the under-21 game for that, knowing that he's needed as cover on Saturday. And to be honest, I'd have no problem with Tom Holmes playing on Saturday, because he strikes me as the kind of defender who would love a derby, get stuck in, do the bits. He's very good at the bits that you want defenders to be good at. From what I've seen, he's less good at the bits that Rob wants his defenders to be good at. But we don't need that Saturday. We need the defensive side of it. So if Mengi isn't fit, I'd have absolutely no problem. Well, other than the fact that I don't like a back three, I would have no problem with the back three being Holmes, McGuinness, Burke. But obviously, it'd be lovely if we could have Ted in there.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be the ultimate decision there, isn't it? He could have been sent back as a precautionary thing. We just don't know because the England setup haven't said anything, whereas the Irish
too busy appointing Germans. That's why.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I think I make you right. If Tedden's not available, then it would only have to be Holmes, wouldn't it? And I
mean, if he's not available, then Rob's back four is made for him if he wanted to go down that route. I just think he'll go back to what he's coached for the last 2 years for a game that he'll think he has to win, even if he doesn't have to win it.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about this on the way in. We were talking. We wanted a back four, and we want 4-3-3.
We really only
variation
4-4-2.
All right, Mike Bassett,
or a variation of, and then he plays a back four, and I don't know what the formation was in front of that up at Brownwell Lane, and I'm sure nobody will. But playing all those players out of position and it not working, there's a conspiratorial mindset in the world these days, and I wonder whether some people are going, well, he's done that on purpose to say that it doesn't work and he can go back to his back three. I don't buy that for a second. I'm just putting it out there, devil's advocate. But
Lee Carsley didn't exactly narrow that conspiracy theory down against the Greeks, did he? When he shoved every single attacking player that England wanted in the Euros onto the pitch, and the Greeks were like, "Oh, happy days," and filled their boots. But yeah, I'm with you. Look, I want Luton to play a back four. I want Luton to play three in midfield, and I don't really care how they structure the other three players, to be quite honest with you. But I think we saw at Sheffield United that whilst Rui Waters can play left back, and whilst Reece Burke can play right back, it's not really the future. So I'm kind of happy until Amari's back that we park that back four. If it means that we can just have a settled structure, because what he plays on Saturday, he's going to have to play until the next international break, really, because there's just no time to change anything. We play Saturday, then we play Wednesday, then we play Saturday, then it's Friday, then it's Wednesday, then it's Saturday. I mean, they're recovering. They're not even training really in that time, are they? They're just recovering and going again. It's a stupid schedule.
If it's got to be a back three, let it be a back three. But as long as Alfie remembers he's got to defend as well as Dak.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that is the issue, isn't it? Because he'll be up against Andrews down that right-hand side. And, I mean, I don't watch Watford. Of course I don't. If they're playing in my back garden, I draw the curtains.
You seem to know all their players, Kev.
Oh, I've seen the team sheet on flash scores. But every time I see them score, he's either in and around it or doing the scoring himself. So that side of the pitch does feel like it's going to be important. I don't know a great deal about Andrews other than he's Wayne Andrews' son. Well, he wasn't particularly the greatest in the world, was he? But if he's got pace, do you play Rui Waters there? Like we did with the Oxford geezer who came on. We switched that very quickly, didn't we? Put Rui Waters there, he snuffed him out. But then you look at Rui Waters against the pacey guy at Sheffield United, and that wasn't good. One thing I would say is if we do play the back four, those two wingers cannot play on the opposite side. They have to play on the side that they're in. And if Alfie offers no cover for Rui Waters, well, then we're just going to have to hope Alfie dominates going the other way, because they just looked like fish out of water, didn't they? And the one thing we can't do on Saturday is play with fish out of water. I mean, you just can't do it.
They've got to play in their natural positions. And if need be, whoever's playing at the left needs to put Andrews into the stand at the first opportunity they get.
He can go and sit next to you, can't he? You'll make him welcome for the afternoon.
I'd love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
The only problem with going to the back three is it throws up the Victor Moses conundrum.
It does, yeah. Well, I was gonna throw another one into the mix, not just for this game, because of Doughty's attacking output and how good he is and how statistically good he is as well. Is there a case to say stop making him defend and just
playing
get him up the
left-hand
pitch,
side of midfield?
Yeah, there is, but obviously you need someone who can defend the left-hand side before you can do it, and that we all know that person's Amari Bell.
Yeah.
Now I saw him in that. I mean, if you didn't have tears in your eyes from that video that the club put out today,
because he was bending down, crouching down,
then there is something wrong with you. If that didn't put salt in your eyes, sort of situation, because fair play to that kid. I mean, what an absolute legend, and the players who treated him as brilliantly as they did. We might be shit on the pitch in the last game, but they're bloody good human beings, and sometimes that's more important than football. Do you know? we shouldn't really say that on a football podcast, but it is.
Yeah, that was lovely. And there's been one or two videos like that. The one was Brown's little mate and the shit he was giving Alfie was just hilarious, wasn't it?
It was actually, yeah.
It was a very good video, but did you see Amari Bell crouching down and I'm thinking, watch your hamstrings, man?
Well, are you thinking watch your hamstrings, or are you thinking, Christ, he's going to play Saturday?
I was thinking more watch your own hamstrings, because he said,
well, if he was able to play on Saturday, that'd be good news, wouldn't it?
I think play Saturday, all bets are off. We'll go to the back four and let's crack on, because Bell and Doughty down one side, Walters and Moses down the other side, three behind them, and Elijah up front. I mean, one of the three would in that case have to be Morris, but you know, that's absolutely fine. Those two flanks would work an absolute treat. Then we can get up the pitch. We've got defensive capabilities. Yes, you've got to pick which defender you drop, but hey, that's what you're getting paid for, and go from there. There's no vibes that Amari is fit though, other than we've seen him crouching down in a video, but you know, he's allowed to crouch down.
Well, I was just hoping he hasn't done his hamstring another mischief by it, because he was down there for a very long time, and maybe I'm just thinking it of my own 42-year-old
Well,
knees.
no video of him not being able to get up, was there?
Exactly.
So,
What are you trying to say? If you was filming it, you'd have taken one of our chairs and just slipped it underneath him. Sit down on there. There's a good
take
boy,
it
mate.
easy. Take it easy.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to have to choose a strategy here, then, aren't we? Is it what we think Rob will go with, or what we want him to go with?
Yeah, I think we have to go with what we think, and I think he'll go to the back three again.
Yeah, I think after Bramall Lane and it being so abject, then I think that.
I mean, that's doing abject and injustice, and it was worse than that. I mean, we called it rock bottom, and thanks to everyone for all their comments. Actually, I am fine. I was mightily peeved at that performance, and I'm sure you could tell, but I've got over it just. But you know,
I thought we questioned whether it's rock bottom. Of course, there's still layers to
yeah,
go
we
down, but
hope it's
that
rock
was rock
bottom. Of course we do. We really hope it's rock bottom. If it's not hellfire, we are in trouble. Like you said a minute ago, Jimbo, he's put the four out there. It didn't work. I don't think the four didn't work, actually. I thought structurally we were a lot better. They just defended like pillocks. And
it's very similar to the Plymouth game, where the first 10 minutes we looked fine, and all of a sudden we go, let's press the self-destruct button.
yeah, that button needs to be switched off.
You know, it's just, so frustrating. So
That button needs to be switched off. Yeah, I think three centre-backs. I hope to God that he plays three in the centre of the park. If that means that we have to play 5-3-2, 3-5-2, call it whatever you will, rather than this 3-4-2-1 that we enjoyed in the Premier League, we have to appreciate there's no Ross Barkley now. You know, he was 2-in-1. He was the go forward and the take the ball off of the defence. We haven't got that. We've now got to find two players to play, to do the, you know, different roles.
But I think that we've got them. We haven't seen them been able to play in the same team, and I wonder whether that's what will happen if we get the three in the midfield of Marvellous Nakamba, Shandon Baptist and Kraus, because I think they naturally, if you put them, I mean, this is not the formation of a three midfield, but if you put them all in a straight line, you'd have Marvellous at the back, Shandon in the middle, and then Kraus up top, causing some damage, which we've already seen, and that strikes me as probably the best balance.
That's how I'd want us. I mean, at Wembley, we played Marvellous behind Clark and Pelly. From now on, play a midfield three of Marvellous behind Kraus and whoever it is. I agree. I think it should be Baptiste, because Baptiste can naturally drift in alongside Marv when we're under pressure. But at the same time, when we're forward, he's got the athleticism to get forward and support the attacks. Think of the Burnley game, his ball over to Alfie, nodded in for Chong. Think of the QPR game, was it? Yes, QPR game, his ball to Mark McGuinness's header down, and obviously the own goal. Two significant moments of the early part of the season both came through Shandon Baptiste. If chances are at a premium on Saturday, we want Shandon Baptiste in and around the penalty box to create something out of nothing. So that would be how I go within the midfield, and then you just play two up front, Morris and Adebayo. Morris can drop deeper if he needs to. You know, so we're just going to have to go back to basics. I know Rob doesn't want to play two up front, and I know he doesn't want to play direct and all of this, that, and the other. But right now, I don't think he's got a choice. I think we've just got to win a game of football, build on it, win another game of football. Then we can start getting fancy with it from there.
where we've missed Morris is when the ball's played forward, he's the only one who can seem to hold it up effectively. And, he's very, very good, like forwards we've had before, like Hilton and Collins buying free kicks. The slightest touch on the back and he's down and we've got a free kick. Whereas Eli is not as great as that. And you notice with Eli, the referees are looking at it, and when he is fouled, they're still not giving it. So you're right in that Rob doesn't seem to want to play two up front, but I think that's our best option is when we've got both of them up front. Supporters have been calling for Joe Taylor, but Joe Taylor is not the answer to that. Joe Taylor, he's not really a hold-up player, is he? He plays off the defender's shoulder and he's waiting for the through ball through or to get the ball at his feet and run at players. So if it came to it, it was a choice between Adebayo and Morris. I'd rather have Morris up there than Adebayo. Because Adebayo, he's skillful in everything else and he's a confidence player. But I think the problem with him, he's not far off scoring, but he's making the wrong decisions. Instead of shooting, he'll take it on further, or when he should take it on further, he's having a shot and it's not working out for him. So to that extent, I'd rather have Morris up there. And Morris has scored already this season, so he's got the confidence as well.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fair enough. I can't be a hypocrite and call for Elijah to be dropped for the Oxford game, and he's still not scored and not call for him. I do think Elijah pressing will be important, actually. That's why I think he'll play two up front.
I'm not saying I don't rate Elijah.
No,
I think Elijah's
what
a good player.
What a time it would be to get his confidence sorted out and find the back of the net, though.
And he probably will be if he scores.
Oh, he becomes instant hero, doesn't he, as well? Absolutely. That's what we anticipate might happen. We've just got to be better than we were against Sheffield United. I mean, crikey, if we've got another one of them performances in us anytime soon, I don't want to see it. I really don't. So that's pretty much it for this episode of the podcast. All that is left to do is score predictions. This will be interesting, won't it? See if there's any traitors in this panel, but how many of you out there are going to be traitors like some of you were against Sheffield United, albeit, unfortunately, you got it right. Tony, your first podcast of the season, Luton versus Watford. We're not going down there, are we, Christ? Luton versus Watford, how does it finish?
2-0 to Luton.
Nice, straight on the money, happy days. Jimbo, you were teetering on the edge of a Luton defeat last time. Surely you're not going to alienate yourself to the public and go with that this time.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? Because maybe
you are a man of the people, Jimbo.
That has never been said before.
A nice positive result. Come on.
There's a school of thought when things are going so wrong like that. You just, you choose the other result in hope that the footballing gods ain't showing on you.
The old reverse psychology nonsense, is it?
And I should have done it in the last game when I thought about it. And I thought about it for this one, and I just can't bring myself to do it. I can't. Because a win in this match will change nearly everything. I mean, there'll still be things to fix. Don't get me wrong. It's not going to be the magic spell that some hope, perhaps. No, I don't think anyone does, actually. I mean, that's doing people a disservice. But a victory in any way is the platform to build on. And so I will go for an old-fashioned 1-0 to Luton.
So you two have covered the last two results at Kenilworth Road in this fixture. Obviously, 2 times ago, 1-0 when Collins thundered that penalty in. First touch, wasn't it, actually, during the COVID season? Yeah. And then, obviously, of course, 2-0 on April Fool's Day last year. I'll split the difference 2-1 to Luton for this game. And we'll all live happily ever after, won't we? Well, until February anyway. And bragging rights are ours. Get your score predictions in. Plenty of time for you to do that, even though it's a 12:30 kickoff. Shall we make a pact that we're not giving any points away if someone gets a Watford win right? Because we can't be doing that, can we? I mean,
I genuinely, for all the sort of pessimism there has been, and most of it justified, I genuinely don't think anyone will be on there going defeat. How can you?
Yeah, absolutely.
You can't bring yourself to. I couldn't then, even though I'm thinking it could go the other way.
There could be 5 divisions between us two, and I would still have us beating them. I can't.
We're all
do it.
hoping and praying that it'll be 3 or 4-0 to Luton. That's what we want. We want to beat them. We want to, in an ideal world, we'd put a cricket score in against them and they wouldn't get in our penalty area. But we all know it's not going to happen. And whatever happens, as long as we win, everybody's happy.
Absolutely.
To a certain extent, even if it's a draw.
If it's a draw, it would need to be that real strong, encouraging performance, wouldn't it? You can't limp your way to a draw in this game. It can't be an Oxford draw.
But if Luton play really well and dominate the game, and by some stroke of misfortune we lose, nothing will change, and the supporters will be on their backs and everything else. What will have more impact on the supporters if we win 1-0 and we're awful and they're all over us for if they had 90% possession, but we won 1-0, the supporters would be happy.
Well, you would, wouldn't you? Now that you've just called Jimbo would now that it's just called 1-0. Yeah, no, I was only joking. If you do predict a Watford win and the unfortunate and unthinkable happens, you will get the points, and we'll have
named and shamed,
and very much named and shamed. We'll get the leaderboard up ready for that Watford review.
We'll make sure the boys go round to see you.
The heavy ones, not us two. No, we're not doing that. No. Thank you to everyone for all of the comments that you've sent through. We were going to try and get a power court sort of deep dive done. Unfortunately, a few things went against us during the international break. That will be on the horizon. We'll probably wait until this mini batch of fixtures are done, and then we'll discuss power court. We'll get some views from inside the camp and everything else. Thanks for watching or listening, however it is that you consume this podcast. Thanks to everyone, and there are loads of you out there who voted for us in the Football Content Awards. The voting is now closed. It's up to the judges really to decide whether we've got some nice shiny silverware or glassware to bring back to the set in 5 weeks' time. Hopefully we have done. If you have a ticket to the game on Saturday, whatever your current feelings are about our football club, whether you're content with where we are, whether you're disappointed with where we are, whether you're happy, whatever the situation is, please, please, please park that at the turnstile on Saturday afternoon. Be right behind these boys from minute 1 to minute 100. And who knows, we might be able to get ourselves out of this mess, get a victory and something to build on, and then we can all go from there.
Well said, Kevin.
Needs everyone behind us on Saturday. So crowd do our bit, players do their bit. Let's beat this lot for a third time in succession at Kenilworth Road. Thanks as always to the Barber Club and the lower level in Luton for hosting our studio. We really appreciate your support, guys. To Sean Grant and the Wolfgang for our intro music. You going to plug a song?
I'm going to plug an EP. They've got a new EP coming out soon. If you go to Sean Grant and the Wolfgang socials, you'll find their new EP, Divide the Light, is being promoted. Or if you go to Vandalism Begins at Home record label, you can find them on there.
And to Ed Smith Creative for all the designs that you see on set. We will be back usual time. Sunday night we will record the review, but if you want all of the post-match reaction quicker than that, head to the Lutonian.com. Jimbo will provide all of that. Until next time, please, 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 please beat this lot down. From James, Tony and myself. Come on, you Hatters.
Yeah.
For me, it's the people and the spirit of the people as well.
I love this town. I love this town. I love this town. You know what I love about this town is actually you. Everyone in it has got this massive soul.